Congratulations on the win. How does it feel to tell your team that if they win Saturday, they're playing for a Mountain West championship?
Well, it's nice to be have that opportunity this time of the year, but it's like we talk about every week. It's this week's opportunity, and we've also talked about it's just a little bit more under the microscope, just because of the time of year that it is, and what's going on with conference standings and so on and so forth. But the preparation will be the same, and need a really good week. We're playing a great football team on the road, and so preparation's key.
Did you feel like the elements were a factor on Saturday night in Hawaii when the rain was coming down? Did you feel like that affected the way your offense performed?
Not really. There was a couple balls early that we could have hit, that we had some open guys, but besides that, no. I felt like we held on to the ball well. The 2 interceptions were tip balls, so there wasn't a lot you could do about that, but besides that, we held on to the ball well, and we just missed a couple balls early, which could have been because of that, but it was fine.
Well, I bring that up because a lot of people would expect that the elements could affect the game on Saturday in Laramie. Playing at elevation, don't know what kind of wind and perhaps even snow you could have. How do you prepare a team for those possibilities?
Well, you're right, the weather changes so quickly. Right now it's supposed to be high 30s, low 40s possibly, and sunny, and anywhere from 15 to 20 mile an hour winds. So, but that can change, in a heartbeat. So we just have to be ready for whatever we can prepare for. We can't control all that. But as far as dress and footwear and all that kind of stuff, we can be prepared for that. And but just focus on what we have to do. We can't control the elements, and just do our best to practice for the schemes and their personnel and things like that. We have to worry about football. We can't get too caught up in the weather.
A lot of the external focus will be on the health of both teams' starting quarterbacks. You mentioned after the game that Marcus had a big bruise on his throwing hand. How's that doing, and what do you expect from him looking forward?
Oh, he's fine. Took a pretty good shot early in the first quarter. Actually, I didn't even find out about it till early in the second, right as the second quarter started. But he's fine. It was just a big knot on his hand. He's fine. He doesn't have anything broken or anything like that. So the next day it had gone down some, so he should be just fine.
And I won't ask you to speculate on Josh Allen's injury situation, but I'm sure you can speak to the kind of difference he makes and the kind of quarterback and dangerous weapon he is for Wyoming.
Yeah, he's a great player. There's no doubt about it. When you get a guy that is as big as he is, and he's mobile and he's tough, he's highly competitive, great arm talent for sure, can put the ball anywhere on the field, make all the throws. He's a special player, and we have to be ready. He's so competitive. I'm sure he'll be fine. I'm sure he'll play if at all possible, because he is. Watching him on tape, he's a highly competitive, tough guy who he's not looking to slide when he runs. He's a physical player and has mobility, can get on the edge, make all the throws. Very accurate thrower. So great player.
On the subject of Josh Allen, you weren't certainly here the last few seasons, but how familiar are you with his story? Coming out of Fireball, wanted to be a Bulldog, and was passed over.
I don't know anything about his story. That was before we were here. I saw something that, from Fireball, then went to Reedley, and, but that was before we were here, and I don't have any real background in that.
Coach, we got some sad news in the community on Saturday with the passing of Tony Perry. Wanted to get your thoughts on what he meant to youth in this community, and also your relationship on him.
Yeah, it's been we've had heavy hearts for the last couple days here. I just got out of a meeting with the player, actually. Tony was a great friend of ours, a great friend of the programs, and our deepest sympathies and condolences go out to his friends and family. He was a guy who really cared about young people and took a real interest in their lives and their futures, and and he was always there for him. And so he is really going to be missed. And he was a good friend of ours. I always enjoyed my time with him. We communicated all the time. I talked to him probably 2 weeks ago, and saw him at the game a few weeks ago when I went to their game, and he's going to be missed. When you get a guy like that who takes such sincere interest in young people and their development and their futures, and it's not over when they leave. He stays in contact with them always, and he's so well respected and loved by those people and those players. And it was devastating to hear. We heard right when we got to the stadium for the game, right when we walked into the locker room, and then obviously yesterday getting back was difficult. To someone who means that much to this community, the football community, high school football, around the country. He's very well known around the country because of all the players that he's really helped move on. So we're going to miss him.
Anyone else with questions for Coach Tedford?
Coach, I know you don't like to look ahead, but the media does sometimes, and with the way the standings are, if it plays out a certain way, it's possible that you guys could play Boise or Wyoming again in the Mountain West Championship should you get there. Is that a benefit, playing a team so close back-to-back kind of like this?
We'll deal with that when we, if that were to happen. We have this week to play, and not going to really get any further than that. It's all about what we can do this week, and deal with the scenarios once it plays out. But don't really get into hypothetical situations too much, because it's one game at a time and one day at a time, and preparation. Go play a really good football team. They're excellent on defense, top defense in the league in a lot of categories, and very disciplined. They fly around, so we have our hands full going to play such a great team and such a physical team on the road. So we'll deal with things as they come after that.
And I was reading the press release here, the stats. When you were a player, you go from your junior year to your senior year, you get 6+ wins. So far, you guys have done that this year from last year. I know you weren't here last year, but what is it about turning a program around, or maybe if you have a lot of the same players, how do you guys make such a big leap in one season?
Well, I think first of all, it's surrounding yourself with great coaches, not just good coaches, but great people, which we've been very fortunate to do, and then a lot of hard work and some leadership and guys who have bought into the standard and the expectation and have worked really, really hard. And so the coaching staff's done a nice job, and the players have worked. It's been a process, a long process from the beginning, but the trust and confidence that I think that we've been able to build is key. Those are two main factors, I think. And it's been a pleasure to get to know this team and to work with them and work through things. And the relationships have gotten pretty close and pretty deep in a short amount of time. And we really care about the players on and off the football field. But the players have really done a nice job of being engaged in what's going on and doing their best to try to follow through with some of the things that we've talked about. But I think the coaching staff has done an excellent job with them, the position coaches, the coordinators, the strength coach. It's pretty deep in everything. Try to surround ourselves in every facet of the program that the players can feel confident and know that we care about them.
Coach, what are the physical and even logistical challenges of going from from Hawaii one week to Wyoming the next week? And it's two pretty far-flung road games.
Yeah, it's but it's a week. It's not like we went straight from there to there. There's a week in between here that and typically by the time you hit Tuesday, tomorrow, Hawaii will seem like ancient times to us. It'd be so far behind us. It'd be nice having a shorter trip for sure. It was a long trip. I thought our kids really managed the trip to Hawaii well. We were a couple hours late getting there. We were a couple hours late getting back. Didn't get back here till like 9 in the morning, and so that really has an effect on Sunday. But I thought the players did a great job of managing that. Came in yesterday, got a workout in. We got productive meetings done. So they handled that well. As far as climates and things, you just have to deal with whatever comes your way. It's like I said, when we get to Wyoming, Hawaii will seem like a long time ago to us. And so just got to stay focused on the job at hand. And, traveling there poses certain issues. We play a noon game, and so it'll be an early wake-up call driving from Cheyenne to Laramie. But we deal with it however we have to deal with it. But I have confidence the players will be focused on the job at hand.
I mean, playing in cold weather, do you believe in like bench heaters, long coats, all those things?
Yeah, I don't know that it's going to – it has a potential to be that cold, but yeah, bench heaters, yeah. I mean, it's – I've had the opportunity to play in a lot of cold games in Canada. I played in 27 below zero and things like that, so I understand it. And I have some experience with it that we will go in with. But, I don't think it's something you're going to get used to in a day. I don't think anybody gets used to it, but you deal with it. And yes, there are certain things of hand warmers, and, you have to be prepared for this stuff. We're not going to, be naive to, we're going to go in here and be tough and not wear anything. That's kind of ridiculous. You go in and you're prepared with whatever you need as far as footing and keeping your hands and feet warm and things like that. And, and not overdoing it. You don't overdo it because then it becomes cumbersome and things like that. But there's certain things that you do in those situations to just try to stay prepared and, and deal with it.
Are you going to take Paul's suggestion from a couple weeks ago and have practices up at China Peak this week?
No, there's classes we have to deal with, so that doesn't fit into the schedule. That would have been nice for the elevation as much as the temperature. Elevation is another issue there, and one of the first things we'll do is we'll regulate our helmets to the elevation with the air in our helmets. I learned that lesson a long time ago when we were going to go play Air Force, and so I took the team to up by Tahoe to practice, and the first thing was everyone had headaches, and we learned in that practice that the elevation causes your helmet to expand. And so, little things like that, we'll make sure when we get there, the elevation we'll regulate our helmets and make sure everyone's comfortable and safe.
What's your philosophy about the altitude as far as what you can do in a short time to get the guys ready for that?
Yeah, I think, we're in good shape and we recover quickly, and that's the key really is you can't let that get in your head because you may get short of breath, but and that would be natural, but just to know that you're going to recover quickly. That's what they need to know. And that's one of the things we learned at Cal when we went to that practice there. I ran them really, really hard to where they were huffing and puffing and saw that they recovered within 10 seconds, and so, there's nothing you could do to get around the altitude. It's a physiological thing, but we're in shape for this time of year, and as long as we can recover, which we will, then I think we'll be fine.
Then just lastly for me, talking about injuries is kind of always a sketchy thing. Nobody likes to do it, but you've been relatively injury-free this season so far. There's been few injuries. What do you attribute that to?
I don't know. I think we've been fortunate that way. There's been a lot of bumps and bruises for sure, but
I guess is there a technique, a training technique, or something you guys are doing there?
I think it's us. You like to think the schedule, what we do strength and conditioning wise, and how we prepare that way. Coach Ward, what he does in the weight room, and then what we do through the week, and what our preparation is going into the game, our warm-up techniques, our activation, different things like that. But football's football. Sometimes you can't get around things. No matter how you train or what happens, it's a physical game and things happen from time to time. So, I just think we've been fortunate so far not to have many major injuries, knock on wood. This time of year, everybody's beat up, though. There's no doubt about it. We played some physical games, and so recovery is key on how we go about our recovery on Sunday and Monday. I think is really important with nutrition and rest, and that's another piece of it. I don't think you can overlook nutrition and rest and taking care of your bodies. Getting in the training room, I think our trainers do a really good job, and making sure we're ready to go to practice, and warmed up sufficiently, and all the little things that go into the preparation behind the scenes, I think can play a factor in how you stay healthy.
How concerned are you with dropped passes? That continues to be a factor this season. Granted, you won the game, but how do you correct that?
Which drop passes are you talking about?
There was one that hit Keyshawn right in the numbers.
Yeah,
the one that went off.
Yeah,
of
there was definitely a couple in there that we just keep working. I think that's one thing you can overdo. We work hard in practice, and sometimes there's some drops and sometimes there's not. There was a few the other night, and there was some missed balls too. But you just keep practicing. I think drop passes are something that you continue to work on in practice as far as hand placement and concentration is concerned. But I think that's something that you can get too caught up on as well. You want them to play natural and free and confident. And if you start really grinding about drop passes too much, then they play tense. And we can definitely hopefully eliminate or cut those things down. But we'll continue to work on it in practice. I mean, there's no other way, really. I don't think there's any magical thing. It's hand placement, focus, keeping your eyes on the ball, all the little things we need to do.
Last week you faced Hawaii's version of Jeff Allison and Jelani Tavai. This week you've got Logan Wilson for Wyoming at that middle backer, who's having a heck of a year. Plus they have the preseason Defensive Player of the Year at safety and Andrew Wingard. What have you seen from those guys on film?
They are very good players, very aggressive. They run really, really well, really good tacklers. Kind of into the game planning right now, watching all the tape, and they really stick out. They're an excellent defensive football team all the way around. There's no holes there really. I mean, they're so well coached and so disciplined in what they do, and they run really hard to the ball, and they're great tacklers. They lead the conference. They're plus 17 in turnover ratio, and the next one's plus 8, and that's us. And so they do a really good job of taking the football away. And I think that's because they do run to the ball so hard, and they are so physical. They separate people from the ball. But they're an excellent football team, excellent defensive football team. And like I said, they're in the top in the conference in numerous categories on defense. And those guys specifically, the safety and the linebacker, are excellent football players.
And what has impressed you about Craig Bohl? I know you know his track record from North Dakota State and everything he did there, but the way that he has turned this Wyoming program around, is there an element of that, the way he's built it, that impresses you the most?
Well, I think the obvious things are how hard they play and how disciplined they are, and I'm sure if those things are showing up on the field, that they're off the field as well, because I think that to turn a program around, I think it's on and off the football field, and all the little things that get done. And so just meeting him a couple times, I know he's a good man, and he's an excellent football coach, and I'm sure off the field they're as disciplined as they are on the football field. So I think that has a lot to do with it. So we have a great deal of respect for him.